Hi, welcome back to Box of Delights. I'm Ricky Royal, and this is Kamisado, a game by Peter Burley. This is the version released by Burley Games, Peter's own company, and this is a smaller version released by Hutch. There's also a smaller one I have somewhere, like a pocket version, a travel version, if you like. Kamisado is a two-player abstract game, and I must say, I'm off to UK Games Expo tomorrow, and if there's one game that every year catches the eye, it's Kamisado. One of you is the black player, one of you is the gold player. You'll sit at opposite ends of the board. This is the two gold dragons here. This is the gold player's side of the board. The two black dragons here. This is the black player's side of the board. You should always have an orange square in the bottom right hand corner, and you start the game. These are your towers. Okay, there's a green tower for a green square, red tower for the red square, and so on. The aim of the game is to get one of your towers to the opposite side of the board. You can play a single game, or you can score points. You can score points for each victory, and then you have a series of games. So you get your tower over to the other side of the board, you'll win that game, you score a point, and then you reset. And then with the subsequent game, the tower that you got over to the side gets promoted, and it takes on some new rules. And I'll explain those in a little while. What I want to do first is just introduce you to the basic game, because particularly if you're going to pick this up at a convention, or if you want to play it as a family game and just want to play one game, one match, and it may only take 5-10 minutes to play a game, if that. You just need to know the basic rules. You don't necessarily need to know how to play the advanced game, though that is a great deal of fun and adds another depth to the game. The rules are very, very simple. Black starts and selects any tower. Okay, let's say they choose the pink tower. They can move their tower any number of spaces in a straight line forwards, or forwards on a diagonal. Okay, any number of spaces. Okay, so there's one of three directions. You can never move these things backwards, only ever forward. This one's finished on an orange square. What that means is the gold player now has to move the orange tower, and whichever colour square she lands on, the black player would then need to move that tower. Okay, so green tower, green square, move the green tower. Alright, yellow square, move the yellow tower. Purple square, move the purple tower. Green square, move the green tower. Okay, really, really simple. Okay, so that's a single game. Let's move everything back. There are instances where you may have to move and you can't move. So let's say red down to green, green down to orange. Orange is trapped because you can't jump over pieces, you can't knock pieces out of the way, you can only move in these directions. Okay, this piece is blocked. Similarly, if there was a tower here, the blue couldn't move. Okay, it can happen up front even. So let's say it's like this situation, and orange has to move. They can't move backwards, only ever forward in those three directions. Straight forward or diagonally forward. Okay, so orange is blocked. What do you do then? Black gets to move again, and they get to move the tower that the block piece is standing on. So orange is standing on orange, they get to move the orange tower once more. Okay, we've moved to orange again. The orange is still blocked, so I get to move the orange tower once more. Okay, yellow, orange, orange comes in to win. That's pretty much it. You have to move if you can. If you end up in a deadlock situation where everything's just repeating, then the last person to move to get in that deadlock, that would be the person that loses. You can't force a draw, if you like. If you try and force a deadlock, then you end up being the loser. But the game looks fantastic. This is what draws the attention to it. It has real table presence. Now, there's some basic strategies to this game. If you do some, like all abstract games, you do some analysis and you discover some good moves, some bad moves, some traps that you can fall into. One of the difficulties I found when starting out in this game was understanding what moves are you looking for, what you're trying to do to force your opponent. You know, I play chess and I know about forcing moves and therefore getting some momentum behind your game that allows you to steal an advantage. How do you do that in Kamisado? One of the key concepts is to put your tower in a scoring position, okay, a place from which, if that colour comes up, it could win. Let's say I'm black and I open with red down to pink here. Pink's got to move. Now once pink moves, no matter where he goes to, red is now free. If red ever gets called, if something lands on a red square, if I can force gold onto a red square, my red tower can move and come home and win. Okay, so trapping that player. So how might I force them to go red? Well, I know, for example, there's a red square in front of orange here. So if I manage to do this, then I've created a situation where all I need to do is move on to orange. If I move any tower to orange, orange has to move, and orange can only move to red, which means I win. Okay, so you're trying to look for those situations. There's some colours, it kind of looks, look at the pattern. I mean, there's beauty in the design of this board. I really love it. Look at the symmetry. So orange and brown are quite key, for example, because there's a diagonal here. So I know if I've got orange in this corner like this, that's a possible opening move. Orange can only go orange. So what if I can get orange into a scoring position? Say here, if I go here, yellow has to move out, yellow moves brown, brown moves red. Okay, see how orange is in a scoring position now. I've just got to get him to go orange. I can't force him to go orange, but I can force this guy to go orange because that's the only thing it can move to. Now obviously there's a danger here because orange can actually come all the way down and score. But let's say red goes blue here. Now blue can go here, blocks off orange. Orange has got no choice but to do orange. There's only 1, 2, 3, any of these available spaces. Orange can now move in and score. Do you see? So that's what you're trying to look out for, a forcing move, something to force your opponent, put your towers in winning position so you can force your opponent to take those squares. The pink one here has got a diagonal of pink. If you look at the red tower here, okay, if you block off here, and let's push yellow out of the way, the red here can only go blue, red, blue, red, blue. Okay, there's a brown, but again a blue. So there's really only two options for the red tower, blue and red, or this brown. Okay, so you're limiting your opponent's choices by pushing these towers. So if you can get blue and red into a scoring position, okay, I've got purple in a scoring position. If I can get blue or red in a scoring position, then red becomes a target tower and a target square. All I've got to do is land on red. Okay. Now there are some traps to look out for. Look at this blue tower here, for example. If I occupy these two spaces, then blue has only one space to go to, and that's red. So let's examine that. Let's go red down to pink. That's immediately putting pink in this red in a scoring position because pink has to move out the way. Okay. It's got lots of choices. But you've got to remember, playing gold, don't blunder. Okay? If you go green, green can come up, close the position down. Okay, all I've got to do now is put one of my towers on blue. As soon as I go blue, blue can only move to red, and red comes into score. So here I've pushed, you see, I've pushed green into orange. So what do I want to do? I can't go red, I can't go green, okay, because they're both scoring. I could go pink. I might think pink is safe, but it's not, because pink can go blue. And as soon as pink goes blue, blue goes red. Red comes in and scores either this way or this way. Okay. So what about yellow? Is yellow safe? No, yellow can go to blue. Okay. Red comes in and score. What about blue? You might think it's good, but look, there's another blue. I can go blue to blue. Okay, here goes red. It's no good. So what about purple? Again, purple can go to blue. And it all came about because of the mistake. So you could even look ahead another step. Can you force gold onto green. If you can force gold onto green, maybe that's a victory for you. Okay, there isn't many. What you want to force gold onto green so you can move your green tower down to here and get the game-winning position. Okay, so those are the tactics. You're always looking ahead. You're always looking ahead. So now you know the rules and maybe some of the things you're trying to look ahead and achieve, forcing your opponent into these little traps. What does a game of Kamisado look like? Let's go see. That was a pretty tight game there, and players not really making much mistakes and not much blocking going on. What I want to show you next is how you play a series of games and therefore get your pieces promoted. The way it works, if you manage to push one of your towers to the other side and win a game, is that tower is promoted to a Sumo. In the large Burly Games version of the game, you have these rings that you put on to denote a Sumo. In the smaller Hutch game you saw played, you have a token that you place in the top of the tower. As you play more games, more towers will end up being sumoed. And indeed, if a sumo makes it to the opposite rank, it becomes a double sumo. Here's an example game then where blacks manage to get their pink tower to the opposite side of the board. They score a point and their tower is promoted to sumo. You may decide you want to play up to, say, 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, or even a marathon 15 points. In these games, crowning a double sumo will score you 3 points. And then if you've got a triple sumo, that final ring is worth 4 points. So the total is 7. 1, 2, 4. 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7 points. Okay, so the points go up and up. There's actually different sized rings for single, double, triple sumos. If you get a triple sumo home and it's worth double again, so 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8, that's a total of 15 points. But at the end of the game in which you win, you then have a decision to make. Because these towers aren't just going to fall back to their starting positions, brown on brown, green on green, red on red. You have to decide whether you want to fill from the left or fill from the right. If we choose to fill from the left, then we fill brown square, green square, red square, yellow square, pink square, okay, this way. And what you do is you just travel along and you move everything down, like so. Okay, travel up, travel up, travel up. And finally, the pink sumo here. The player who lost must always follow the same instructions, so they've got to fill from the left as well. So once more, it'll be from the gold player's perspective. Everything will fill like so. Let's set up a different situation. Let's just jumble everything around and say, what if he wanted to, let's say red got home and we're going to fill from the right instead. Okay. So this time, instead of filling, so that's your choice, it's up to you, fill from the left, fill from the right. And it's an important decision because when you set up for the next game, you want to set yourself up with what you can perceive to be an advantage in the setup. Okay, so this time we're going to fill orange first, and then blue, then pink, yeah, purple, pink, yellow. So everything shuffles. Okay, like so. Okay, right to left, not left to right. Okay, and the same for this one. Orange first. So remember, you're going to see it as if from the other player's perspective. So everything feels like this. and it's going to give you some interesting decisions. Those traps that you've gotten used to in a standard game no longer exist. So for example, you know, we don't have this moving down to here and making this pink move and leaving this in a winning position, because the pink's way over here. So it's going to have lots of variability, so the game kind of gets a little bit more complex as you move forward. Right, what about these sumos? What do they do? So it's not only about scoring points, but these things move differently too. The sumo tower is much stronger, but it has some restrictions. All your towers, you know, can move any number of spaces forwards, yeah, in a diagonal or straight forward direction. A sumo tower can only move a maximum of 5 spaces. And that's important because if, let's say, we made the pink tower move now, from here he couldn't zoom home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would only take him to the green spot. Okay, from here he could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could get home. All right, but from here he hasn't got the legs to reach. Okay, he can only move a maximum of 5 forward. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if he was back, let's put him here. We could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can move here up to here, or we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, anywhere in this direction. Okay, but we can't reach that red. But it does have a special move called the sumo push. If the pink tower must move, and there's an opposing tower directly in front of it, the sumo tower has the option, he's not blocked. Okay, let's say that there were other towers here. A normal tower would be blocked right now, okay, and then gold would get to move the brown tower standing on a brown square. But a sumo tower is not blocked. They have the power of the sumo push. Okay, they don't have to be blocked to use the sumo push. Okay, so we could just zoom off this way up to 5. But a sumo push says you move 1 space forward and you push the tower back in front of you 1 square. And this player gets to move again. Black gets to go again. Gold misses a turn. Okay, so the sumo push says push forward and go again. And the tower that gets to move is, in this case, blue, the one that the tower was pushed onto. So black would get to move the blue tower. Okay. You can't make a sumo push diagonally. Okay, it has to be, and it can only be straightforward. There must be an empty space behind. So we couldn't sumo push here. We couldn't sumo push here. Okay, there has to be an empty space, and then blue tower moves. And of course, you can't push if the piece in front of you is on its home row, because there's nowhere for you to push back to. Okay. The other thing is, sumo can't push sumo. And you can only push opponents' pieces. You can't sumo push your own pieces. The double sumo is bigger and stronger still. The double sumo can only move 3 spaces. Okay, so he's much stronger, but much slower. However, the double sumo can push a regular sumo. Okay. The other thing a double sumo can do is called the double sumo push. So a regular sumo couldn't push in this instance because there's no free space behind, but a double sumo can push 2 towers. Okay, they can push forward like this, and then the space that's furthest away is the next tower to move, so gold blue would move next. And they can even push sumos in a double like this as well, or even 2 sumos. Okay. But a double sumo can't push another double sumo. The final type is the triple sumo. Triple sumo, as you might expect, like a double, it can push 3 towers. Again, there must be an empty space behind that 3rd tower. It can push double sumos, and its movement restriction is 1. It can only move 1 space at a time. It's a big lumbering beast that can push like crazy. You'll need 4 towers behind it to block it coming forward. And that's Kamisado. A cracking little game. One that should be in everybody's collection. A super modern 2-player abstract and a modern day classic. Look out for it. If you see it, you won't forget it. And if you can't find a copy, you can find this on the App Store, so you can play digitally against an AI opponent as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.